Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. Today we have another experiment for you guys, and that is creating and making rotating gears work. Hopefully. Alright, so I was just thinking around and trying to experiment with more stuff, and what I thought of doing is making some rotating gears. Can they work in vanilla Space Engineers? As you can see, I did a lot of different experiments here with different materials to see if I can make rotating gears work. And I have some success and some not so successful ones to put together. So going through some of the experiments here, you'll see this one is done with, a regular 3x3 block. I mean, gears are more circular, obviously, but in this case, I couldn't really make it circular. So I stick with some kind of squarish kind of design, and it built it with these half slope blocks that kind of mimics a gear or like a cog, and it works out pretty well, but it's a hit or miss. As you see here, it's rotating on this section, but when I played around with another one here, it stops working. So it's kind of like on again, it's like hit or miss, or just by chance. So if I plop things on, you see that it's like messing around and it's trying to rotate, and eventually it does rotate, but it gets stuck again. So that's the odd part about the system. Another odd part about creating these rotating gears, the moment I create a third piece, the whole thing kind of messes up, stops, or gets cluttered. So the best I can do so far is going 2 horizontally, maybe 1 vertically, and so forth. But yeah, this is kind of the setup of what I have in terms of rotating gear, or at least mimic something that's very close to a gear. So the specs on the rotors on the bottom, this one has torque and is rotating at 10 RPMs. This one has no torque and it's allowing it to rotate freely, as you see here. I was hoping to get a smooth rotation, but unfortunately it does not do so in this type of system with these blocks. And the pistons here were only to get it started, so I started rotating it and then bring it up and then down so that it connects into the spots so that it can start spinning it. The next one I tried many different ones initially, but then tried to separate them out. I tried to use these pillars, and they seem to work okay, but the connecting part of it, the second part of the cog, you can't really do another pillar because it gets stuck. So what I did was add some lights to get the rotation going, but for whatever reasons that stopped working eventually as well. So let's see if I can just put in some pillars to see if this works again. If not, then it's not gonna work, basically. Right, so right now it's on the perfect spot where it doesn't touch anything. So what I've been doing is actually run a little faster and just drop a block to see if it works. And there we go. As you see here, the pillar system kind of works, kind of doesn't work. It just kind of smacks into it, slows down eventually. I want to get something spinning consistently. So that brings us to the next one. It's where I added wheels and lights, corner lights. This one spins pretty well in terms of the rotations without it really stopping. And with the wheels, it does work out fairly okay. It's a little bit forgiving. Unfortunately, again, once I add a third piece to it that's horizontal, the system go crazy and it stops. So this one works well using a wheel, and on these blocks here, you technically don't need the lights, but I put it there just to give it that extra kick to it, so it gives a little bit of a grip. And again, this one rotates pretty well, which is not too bad. The next thing I tried to do was using connectors, thinking that the connectors would, bring out that gravity lock so that it can kind of hit it, and that's gonna lower the strength, but it never really connects like that, but it's just rotating like this. And as you see here, it rotates perfectly fine, but the problem is that it's not a smooth rotation here as well. So connectors can work, but not the best thing in the world. And the next thing that I put together was some landing gears. So landing gears with a block here, which is similar to other blocks, just missing the corners, the slope blocks on the corners attached with the lights. This one rotates fairly consistently as well, so it's almost like the wheel setup in front of us over there. This one rotates pretty good. It's a little bit more forgiving, and it works out pretty well in my opinion. So the best two that I've come up with, again, is the wheel and the landing gear. I think the wheel is a little more compact, so I would definitely go with the wheel version of this. And the biggest question of them all is, why am I doing this? Honestly, I don't know. I was thinking of making something rotate and potentially make a clock out of it with the minutes hand and the hour hand, but with the varying rotation, it's not going to be easy to do, or not even possible to time the minutes correctly or the hours correctly. So that's kind of out of the picture. You can make a clock easily with just the rotors and adjusting your RPMs to the correct timing. But yeah, so gears and cogs kind of work, but kind of don't. So not something I would use in the future, but it was just something I wanted to try out. And coming out to the next section of it all, it's kind of the same stuff. The only thing different I try to do was connect it to a more vertical gear to see if that works. And initially it did work, but then for some reason it just kind of stops. As you see here, this one's no longer touching it. So again, just to jumpstart it, I back up, throw a block on it, and it'll just get it going. So this here is kind of like a light show that's kind of emphasizing what you can use this for. And that's all I could come up with so far. It's just kind of a light show. And I think without the spotlights, we might be okay. But the current setup where the spotlights are, I think that's what's causing it to stop. So for an example, if I get rid of them, it should work decently. And I gotta put back that pillar that I just deleted by mistake. Right there. All right, there we go. Now we have the landing gear rotating this piece here, the second piece, horizontally. And then we have a vertical one spinning perfectly fine. So again, I have no idea what I can use this for. The rotation is not perfect, but it is doing pretty well. Again, you could probably use this as a light show, but maybe it sparks some of you guys' interest in seeing what you can do with it as well. But this version of it works out. I could change it to the wheels one if I wanted to, and that will work just the same way. But yeah, but eventually, as you saw there, it gets all funky and speeds up way too quick sometimes. So it's unpredictable in that case. Going further into it, pillars seem to work really well in this case. So because of it's like right in the center and it's in the middle, and putting one this way vertically instead just to make it rotate kind of does work as well. The only problem is I added this third one here, which is stopping the whole system from really rotating. So again, let's just jumpstart this thing. Alright, so here it goes. I just jump started by throwing some blocks at it, kind of destroyed it a little bit. But it's kind of catching it okay, kind of not. Sometimes it gets caught. This kind of looks like a Ferris wheel in a way. But as you see here, it's rotating okay. It's not too bad. But once we add the third one, it always tends to like get caught and get stuck for whatever reasons. So we're gonna have to jumpstart this one as well, just to show you guys. Here you go. Got to spin, and that's the third one. So it, for the most part, it's gonna work well, but then it's gonna stop eventually. So that's the sucky part about it. And this one is built a little bit differently because I did have to raise the piston up just so that it can catch on here this way. So this is kind of a different version you can build. It's not the best way to do it. As you see here, it just kind of got caught on the third one and that one got stuck. So I may have to find a way to fine tune it so it gets a little bit closer. That means a piston on a horizontal would work okay. But yeah, I tried many things to see what works best, and that wasn't it. And again, sometimes just based on timing, really. But like this one, I copied and pasted, and it works fairly well. Sometimes, but not always. This one's been spinning the longest, so that worked out okay. But it's the same one as we saw before as well, too. And one of the last things I did, I kind of want to make it a little fancy and throw some exhaust pipes to do the like a flame show, but it got stuck. I don't know why. So let's try to do that and plop it on something else. All right, there we go. We have our little exhaust flame show going with this rotating gear here. And yeah, I mean, in conclusion, honestly, there's no one way to do it. So you can't just use like a wheel to a wheel or landing gear to landing gear. I tried that as well. You gotta mix and match them. The pillar one, for the most part, can continue to spin, but you gotta kind of situate them perfectly so that it does spin it correctly. And again, it's always by chance. It's never gonna rotate specifically. But yeah, once again, this was just an experiment to see if we can create rotating gears without any mods, scripts, just basic vanilla Space Engineers, and it kind of does work. And it's just a curious thing that I wanted to try out. Again, the purpose of this, there was no real purpose. It was just piquing my interest, and I had to try it out. So yeah. Alright, so let me know down below, what would you use this for if you would do this? I think you could probably use a flame tower for signaling purposes, or just a cool design for your base, but you technically don't need 3 rotors and a spinning gear system to make this. You can just use 1 rotor, so that's another thing. Alright, so if you guys did enjoy this video, this random experiment that kind of piqued my interest, please hit that thumbs up, like the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and leave us some comments. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.